Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about the brand new Huda Nudes palette. So if that's something you're interested in watching, you are in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so according to Huda Beauty, nudes are not what they used to be. Now, I will agree in the sense that the newer type of nudes seems to be like that KKW kind of pinky, taupey type nude color, and Huda really wanted to kind of play off of that theme of like the new nudes, and that's kind of what this palette is about. Now, in addition to that, there's a lot of different kind of innovative textures, new formulas in this palette. She's done a couple of things with the pans in here that are very different as well. So let's see if she's done all of this successfully and if this turns out to be a hit or a miss. So this is the new Nudes Unicarton. This is kind of like this transparent plastic type of outside unit carton, and I don't know that I necessarily like this. I think I would have liked it better if it was cardboard. I don't like this plastic kind of, I don't know, it just feels cheap, you know what I'm saying? But it's just this weird kind of transparent plastic. It's a really hard plastic, but it's got a cute design on the front of it. It says nude, and it's got new N-E-W is like in between the nude letters, which I thought is cute. And then it has Huda on the back, and then this is the actual palette itself. Now, Huda typically will put herself somewhere on her palette, and this isn't any exception. Her face is right here with her eyes, and when you actually open the palette, the insert that goes into the palette also has her face on it. It's not just like a clear insert, but this is like kind of a nude pinky matte type of feel. It feels very nice. I love the way that it feels, and it does also have some weight to it. Now, a lot of that weight is because of the mirror size. The mirror size on this particular palette is huge. It's the size of the entire palette up top. And then, of course, this is the plastic insert. It has her face on there instead of just being a clear plastic insert. So you have Huda's eyes if you would like to keep them. I am going to use the insert just to cover up the mirror so that you guys can actually take a look at the palette itself. Now, a couple of things that are different about this palette. So this is one of her typical 18 pan palettes, but you only have 17 shadows in this particular palette. She has done a new formula in this palette. Actually, she's redone one formula, and then she says she has a totally brand new formula in this particular palette. Now, her mattes in this palette, she says, are her standard, very creamy, kind of buttery mattes. Now, in addition to the mattes that are in this particular palette, you also have a concealer down here. Now, it's a cream concealer. It obviously is just one tone, so it's, you know, is it going to hit everybody's skin tone? I don't know, but her philosophy with this particular concealer is that you put it down as a base. So if you're going to put shadow over top of it, then I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what tone it is. So she encourages everyone to use this concealer as a base on the lid, and then that way you just go over the base concealer with the shadow. I've used this in like a cut crease type of way, like after I've put shadow on, then I've dipped into this and just used it like right here, and then put some of the more shimmery shadow on top of that, and it worked fine. I mean, it's not anything spectacular. I think I would have almost rather had a shadow there, in my personal opinion. So she's got a concealer base in this particular palette. Now, in addition to that, she also has her two glitters here. These are the same glitters, just like in the Desert Dusk palette. However, she said that these are reformulated. She said they're more pigmented and there's more kind of silica properties in here to help with the adhesion. So they're supposed to adhere to the eye a little bit better than the glitters in the Desert Dusk palette. She's also got one shimmer in here that she says has also been reformulated to be incredibly shimmery, that it just kind of does really, really good over top of a matte just to give like extra dimension to the lid. And there's only one of those in here. And then you have these 4, what she refers to as spackle shades. And they're basically shimmer, glitter, metallic type of shades with big chunks of iridescent in them. They have a lot of like pearls in here, and it's a very interesting type of a formula. I'll give you guys a close-up of the palette here. So again, this palette has a variety of textures and colors. It does have some cool and some warm tone nudes in here to kind of give you a little bit of the best of both worlds. It does have 10 mattes in here. She says that her mattes have like aloe vera, coconut oil in them to give you that kind of buttery application. Now, these 4 particular reflective shades that we were talking about that she calls spackle shades, they actually have pearl flecks so that you get kind of a almost like a duochromatic finish to them, but she's also got like sunflower wax in there along with some jojoba oil to kind of hold it all together and give a smoother application. And then you also have your 2 glitter applications in here that are really, really pretty, and then you have 1 pressed pearl shimmer finish, and then you have obviously 1 concealer base, and that's pretty much the palette overall as a whole. And then of course you guys can see the names underneath there as well. I mean, when you step back and look at the palette overall, it looks like a pretty palette. Personally, with the exception of the concealer, I would like to see that taken out and replaced with a shadow, but overall I do like the color choices. I actually like the color layout of the palette itself. There are a couple of things that I probably won't get any use out of, one being the concealer shade. I don't see myself using these 2 glitters, maybe a little bit during the holiday, but they're very dry and very chunky. But let's get into some swatches so that you guys can actually see how these babies perform, because I know it's hard to really tell, especially with like these spackles and these 2 glitters, what I'm talking about without actually seeing them being applied onto something. And I know swatches aren't always the best way to tell the story, but it's going to give you a better idea. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches. Alright guys, so here is the palette. We're going to cover the mirror up just to get rid of the reflection. And then we're going to do this 1 row at a time. We're going to start with the first row, and this is Bear. The next color is Crave. That's one of the spackle colors. Next is Play. The next is another spackle color called Fantasy. Very pretty color. The next one is called Love Bite. And the final one is called Spanked. And that is the entire top row. And I think out of this row, Play is one of my favorites. That muted peach there in the middle, it's absolutely beautiful. I do like the way that these kind of spackled pearlescent type shades are laying down. They're very pretty. Alright, so we have Lace first, Daydream from the second row, then we have Tickle, which is actually one of my favorite colors in this palette. Next we have the 2 glitters, and I want you guys to see how these apply. They are rather sticky, and it's interesting how they go on the eye. They actually press on the lid quite well and quite dense. So the glitter particles are very closely packed together, and they adhere to the skin very well. As you can see, there's not a lot left on my finger once you press it to the skin. And I'll show you that with the next one. The first one is Excite. This one's called Infatuated. It's a little bit of a lighter pink. But when you pat these on the eye, they really adhere quite well. See, there's nothing on my finger. It actually goes from the pan to your eye surprisingly well. And of course they're beautiful on the eye. And then this is the shimmer color that she said she really put a lot of pearls in. It has kind of a brown undertone, so it does really good on top of some of these mattes, just to give some extra dimension to the eye if you put it over top of like some of the matte colors. So here is the second row. I really do like these glitters. They're beautiful, but I also like these spackle shades. And this shimmer is a very, very pretty shimmer, especially having a brown base to it like that. It looks beautiful over top of some of these matte colors. But, I mean, the glitters they're stunning. And I am surprised at how easily they adhere to the skin. There is a little stickiness to them, and I like that about it. It keeps them a little more condensed, and it prevents them from really kind of like, you know, flying around on the eye. I think they'll stay placed on the eye a little bit better than typical glitters would. Alright, so we're down to the final row. We're going to skip over the concealer and go straight to the first shade, which is Secret, another one of my favorites in the palette. The next one is Tease. This one is called Raw, and I do like this color as well. The next one is called Charmed. It's another one of the spackle shades, and it might be my favorite spackle shade, I think, out of all of them. It is a beautiful color. And then last but not least, we have Teddy, which is the very last one, kind of like a peachy brown type color. I really, really love the colors in this particular row, with the first one there, the third one there, and of course the last one. Those are, I think, some of my favorite mattes in the palette. And then Charmed, the spackle color, is a beautiful shimmer. I think this one might be my favorite out of all of the spackles. Now here is the concealer, and I just want to show you a little bit of the coverage that you get with this. First of all, I want everybody to look at the tone. So the tone is quite light, so it is going to really blank out the lid, but if you really want full coverage on the lid, you're going to have to layer it. As you can see, this is just one layer of it on the eye, and you get kind of a tacky base, and it does an okay job at giving you you know, evening out everything there on the lid before you put any color on. But if you really want to get a good blank out on the lid, you need to put another layer on it. And with an additional layer, you actually do get a little bit more coverage, and it is buildable. It doesn't cake up on you or crease on you when you go in with additional layers, and you can get rid of maybe some lid discoloration with an additional layer as well. So, I mean, overall, it's okay as a lid base, but that's it. That's the whole palette altogether. So the spackle shades in this palette actually are some of my favorite shades in here. I think they are really, really pretty. I actually have them on my eyes tonight in the first like quarter of my lid. So I do like the spackle shades in here. I do also like the matte formulas in here. The matte formulas blended out well. I didn't have any problem blending the mattes out, and they do last a really long time on the eye. They're very richly pigmented, and they're very, very smooth. When you touch them, they're actually really, really pretty. The glitters, the adherence is a little bit better, I would say, than, you know, in the Desert Dusk palette, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to use a glitter glue in order to keep them on the eye and not have a bunch of glitter on your lashes or on your face by the end of the night anyway. So, yeah, there's that. And the shimmer that has kind of the pearls in it, it is a very pretty shimmer, and it does have a little bit of like a duochrome kind of look to it. So when you put it on the eye, even on top of any of these other mattes in the palette, it does add a little bit of extra dimension to the eye. So overall, the palette itself, I think, is a beautiful palette. I happen to love the colors that are in here, especially the mattes. But considering that The glitters I'm not going to get a big use out of. That concealer pan I'm probably not going to get a lot of use out of. For me, that's like 3 pans just kind of immediately taken out of the equation here, which then makes me really think about whether or not I want to spend $70 on a palette that only has, you know, it's a 15 pan palette, and is this a good enough formula to pay $70 for 15 pans? And, you know, remember the retail on it's only $68, I think, so it's not, it's $2 short of $70, but I just say $70 just to round it up. But, you know, is it worth the spend for 15 pans? Is it that unique? Is it that pretty? I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. My initial reaction is to say yes, because I do really love the formula of these mattes, and because they are kind of an everyday color for me, I know I'll get a ton of use out of these particular shades. If this was something that I thought maybe wasn't very unique, or I wasn't going to get a lot of use out of, then, you know, maybe I would be a little bit more hesitant. But honestly, guys, these types of colors are so everyday, simple, easy looks. And then obviously with what's in here, you can transform it to a more crazy nighttime look. You have a little bit of everything in here, and I do like that about it. It also has enough in here to not be like a typical boring nude palette. There's enough in here where you can get some creative juices flowing and get some really pretty looks. If you put a little bit of some creativity and thought into it, you can really come out with some pretty designs with this particular palette. So I think it is Erika approved. I was a little surprised by this one. I didn't think I was going to be a fan, especially when I heard that she put a concealer in there and that the glitters from the Desert Dusk were going to be in there. I thought, oh man, this is not going to be a palette that I'm going to be friends with. But even with those kind of things that I'm not a big fan of, I think it still has enough remaining that I still am going to get a lot of use and a lot of joy out of this palette. So yeah, guys, I think the New Nudes by Huda Beauty is Erika approved. Let me know what you guys think about this particular palette. I know it's a different one. There's a couple of things in there that are a little unusual, but I mean, isn't that what we're looking for nowadays? We're pushing these companies to come up with new and better things, more innovative and exciting things. So let me know if this is something that you guys feel like you are going to want to check out. Let me know down in the comments below. Let's get a discussion going. Listen, thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, welcome. Feel free to hit the subscribe button and the like button on your way out. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at ErikaApproved, and I hope all of you guys are very happy and very healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.